Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back for a Traitors episode 4 feedback show, and we got a fun one here today, back here with our chief Traitors correspondent, Pooya Zamakili. Pooya, how are you?
I am doing good, Rob. It's always a delight to get to talk the Traitors, and we get to do it again.
Especially
about this
week.
Very fun episode. And yeah, it's been a banger, and we have a great guest to coincide with that.
A great guest here with us, of course. In addition to being a part of RHAP Traitors 2, she is perhaps the final ever Big Brother Canada winner. Let's welcome Bayleigh Pelham. Bayleigh, how are you?
I am doing well. I'm still riding the high from our Traitors episode, and now the Traitors have started. I'm very immersed in the Traitors world, so I'm doing very well.
Right there, and you were one Bowie Jane decision away from being the winner.
Bowie Jane curse, yeah. Yeah. I'd like to say that I won it for the faithful side, but you know, Claire deserves her flowers. That's for sure.
She certainly does. Okay. So yes. Bayleigh, we had such a great episode of the Traitors to talk about. Pooya and I have a recap up. Also, we spoke with Jeremy Collins the other day, and you can hear both of those podcasts so far in our We Know Traitors podcast feed when you subscribe at weknowtraitors.com. Bayleigh, first off, before we talk Traitors, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into it then, because that I've seen people say this was the best Traitors episode of all time. What do you think about this?
I mean, okay, so transparency. I haven't seen other Traitors. This is my first go at Traitors. But if I was a betting man, I would say this is probably one of the most dramatic and best episodes. Yeah. My jaw on the floor.
Is this the best Traitors episode of all time?
I think of the US franchise, 1000%. I think this is the peak at the moment. There are a couple episodes. Peacock at the moment. Nice one. There's a couple on some of the other franchises that could be in contention, and I would maybe say are my favorites. But I won't give them away to not steal the illusion of anyone stumbling onto them for the first time.
Yeah. So much excitement from this past week. A lot of discourse out there on social media, and we can talk about all of that. But at the center of it all, Bayleigh, a guy who has been a constant in our world, certainly in my world, for going on 20 some odd years. Boston Rob Mariano. Is this your first experience with the Boston Rob?
No. So I'm familiar with Boston Rob. I've seen, you know, his Survivor seasons, because after his first appearance, I became a huge fan. I'm obsessed with Boston Rob. I've already asked my girlfriend for permission. I have a huge crush on him. He's a legend. He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
And it's a controversial issue, but I love
permission.
Not permission, but I'm like, just so you know,
not like
I'm outwardly having a crush on Boston Rob.
Okay. It was like a respectfully,
cool. Just like is it okay if I talk about this in front of you? Because I don't want to make you jealous, but I love Boston Rob.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that across, and the TikTok, we thought we lost it for a minute. It was basically like I was at one of the Traitors, like at breakfast, and I was like, oh my God, did they kill TikTok? And then it was like oh no, it's Snapchat. Oh, okay. And then, oh, TikTok. Oh, you were on the short list. We thought you were gonna die.
Honestly, we missed.
Oh my God!
On the Canadian side of things, we really missed y'all.
TikTok was like they tried to kill me. I had a shield.
It was quite boring without the Americans. I'll say.
Speaking of TikTok, Rob, you brought up the last time we spoke. You mentioned that you had gotten a TikTok on your For You page that was to do with someone giving the Boston Rob lore about how, you know, look at this handsome man back in. I got the same TikTok that night. So
yeah, there's a few of those where Bayleigh, that there seems to be these women that are like, there's this guy, Boston Rob. I heard about him. I went back and I looked him up.
That's the thing.
Yikes. Yeah.
That's the thing is like we're attached to the old Boston Rob. I mean, he's a little weathered, but you know, he's aged.
It's not the years, it's the mileage.
It's, you know, the personality, the strategy. I like it.
Okay. All right. So Bayleigh, the move that Rob made this week. Were you in favor? You thought it was a good move, or you think that Rob is just being a crazy man?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, Boston Rob, the way that he was entered into the show, it's because he's Boston Rob. He's going to do some crazy things. He's not going to be afraid to make these moves. And I think Rob's mindset is like, he's here for a good time, maybe not a long time. So let's make some crazy moves. And it worked. I'm a huge fan of the move. I think that Bob the Drag Queen was going a little too hard. I think he said a little too much. And some people might say it was too early. I don't know what's too early. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great move. It worked out. So I can't really say it was a bad move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pooya,
I'm in favor
is
of it.
your official opinion too early for this, though?
So I've had quite a few days to think about it, a lot of discourse to read. And I think my stance is still kind of what I held on to at the recap, which was I think people are going to look at Rob now. And I think that the move itself, getting rid of Bob the Drag Queen, I think is not a bad one for Rob when you factor in the idea that he was never going to have control of the turret with Bob and Danielle at the wheel together. It was kind of like a 2-1-1 situation. And I feel like he gets a little control there, which is good. He's getting some goodwill with some faithfuls right now, which is great. Obviously, the big criticism I had and the worry was kind of what Wes brings up, which is he was so pushing it with certainty that now you have to think that he's a traitor.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, Bob the Drag Queen, first of all, not only saw it as like okay, game respect game, but has been very chill about the whole thing. And I think that should be the biggest indicator of like if Bob the Drag Queen's chill, like everyone should be chill.
Yeah.
So there was a fun video that they've been posting where the person that is killed meets the person who was banished. A great one from last week with Tony and Ion last week, where she was so funny on the video where she's talking about who ends up killing her. She's been super funny on social media also, saying that she didn't even know what the survivors were as a TV show before all of this. But let me bring in a question that I'm going to reference the video from this week with Jeremy and Bob the Drag Queen. This is from Anna Lynn Starr. Is Boston Rob's move this episode to banish Bob the Drag Queen Rob's attempt to course correct from the terrible decision to murder Jeremy? Seeing the other survivor men go back to back as faithfuls should be sending major red flags about Rob to other players. Therefore, Rob's only way left to look most faithful is to publicly catch a traitor. Now, there was a little bit of back and forth with Jeremy and Bob the Drag Queen as to the logic of killing Jeremy. And we got to hear from Bob the Drag Queen that Bob the Drag Queen didn't really care. Carolyn wanted to murder Nikki, and it was Danielle who really was pushing for Jeremy to go. Bob did not really give Boston Rob's motivations in the video, but Jeremy was saying like, but why would he want to kill me? We're the survivors. And Bob the Drag Queen was like, wait, why? He's like, because we're the gamers. They're to protect each other. And Bob the Drag Queen was like, he doesn't play like that. He doesn't care about that. So I'm not sure if it was necessarily that it was like an optics of like, okay, well, that I'm going to like have to reverse course because we killed a survivor. But I do wonder if that maybe Rob felt like outvoted in that decision, and that might have led to why he wanted to go ahead and take Bob out of the equation.
Yeah, I think that from the beginning, Rob was a bit intimidated that Bob the Drag Queen was a traitor and that he could kind of see that he was kind of running things a little bit. I think that might have intimidated him. But also Jeremy was coming after Danielle, and Rob kind of said, well, if he says your name, it's kind of all of us. So maybe he's being a team player for the Traitors. I don't think Rob really cares who dies as long as it's benefiting the Traitors. I don't really think he's going to protect survivors because he was on Survivor.
Yeah, I think I co-sign that take because to me, historically with Boston Rob, one thing rings true, Rob, is that if he has a team, that's the team. He's going to ride with that team, put him on his back if he needs to, like ride it along to the bitter end as much as he can with the select few. And on the Traitors, the show decided who that select few is for him. It was, all right, your team is Bob, Danielle, and Carolyn. And so I don't think he thought about meta. I don't think he thought about, okay, this is bad for optics of like, am I going to be the last survivor male? Or are they going to then assume I'm the traitor? He didn't threw all that out the window. Because when Danielle said, I want Jeremy, Rob said, if they say our name, they got to go. That's it. And I think that's really what held for him more than anything else.
Okay. Let's take a question from Chris Lambert about Boston Rob. And by the way, you can send in your questions every week. Go to robhaswebsite.com/traitorsfeedback. Chris Lambert wants to know, do you think that taking charge of the next roundtable and intentionally leading the charge on a non-traitor would help deflect some of the suspicion off Boston Rob? Or would it make it even more obvious that he's a traitor? Bayleigh, how do you think that Boston Rob should play this next roundtable?
I think that he should get the people that trust him to do the talking. I think he has Dylan in his pocket. As much as people might like, Wes is already on to him, which he made a good point, is like, how can you be so sure that someone's a traitor unless you're a traitor? But he also has people that trust him now. Like, he got out a traitor. He was really adamant on Bob the drag queen, but he can kind of put that on Dylan. Like, I trusted Dylan so much, I went with his choice. And maybe he can let Dylan do the talking. Maybe he can let those people that are trusting him lead the charge, as he kind of did with this one. He didn't want to be the first one to say something. And he rallied an army that was going to agree with him so that all the points can come from those people, not directly from him. But I don't know. I think that that's how I would play it. But I'm not as great as Boston Rob, so who knows?
Yeah.
That's a fun strategy, I think, to have him now do the exact same thing he did, put the same energy in, but point it at someone else. Now, we did see Dylan bring up his other two suspects in Gabby and Bob Harper.
Which I'll die. I love Gabby.
Oh, yeah, I think you love Bob Harper.
Well, I do too, but Gabby's my number one.
Yeah. I don't know. In my scenario, I think go after Bob Harper. Do the same thing you just did. Push that energy towards Bob Harper. Bob Harper, who we have seen really be vulnerable. We just saw him express his feelings on the Hill. So that would be someone, if they back him and go after Bob Harper, and Bob Harper stands up there and says, I'm faithful, everyone's going to feel like trash. Yeah. I think that could offset, okay, I'm just loud. He's loud and wrong. And I've talked about how being loud at the roundtable can be good for you. But if you're loud and constantly never missing, you're going to get caught. So this could be a quick way to offset that. And also let people, I hope he can somehow divert it to what Bayleigh said and be like, yeah, it was a me and Dylan thing, not just a me thing. It was mostly Dylan. I'm just a louder mouthpiece that can deliver words, as Dylan proved he couldn't the night before. I think that could be a good way to go.
So just in watching how Rob plays the game, he may try to deflect a little bit, or just say that he believed Dylan so much and that he just made the case when Dylan couldn't. But I think that what Rob tends to like to do is that he wants there to be more conflict. Like, he's going to want people fighting and being crazy. And then he's going to be trying to like gas people up to like have like big confrontations that come up at the round table. So I don't know who his attack dog is going to be, but I think he needs to sort of like identify who is the person that he could really wind up and then set off at the round table.
I feel like he could really rile up Danielle, even though she's a traitor. I think she's a great player, but I think she's very emotional. I think that's a big reason why Jeremy went. So like, if she has enough reason, I think that she would be vocal about going after someone at a round table. Yeah.
I think that maybe Rob might behoove him if Danielle gets banished at one of the round tables. I think he would like that also, especially if he has the chance to recruit also. And if it's just him and Carolyn and a recruit, that's probably the best case scenario for him. But I think ideally that if he wants to keep advancing, I think he probably wants there to be chaos going on between the faithful fighting with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think he has a good shot with Wes. I think that, when they mention Gabby and Bob, they can really get that argument going between each other, and then they'll just point the finger at each other.
All right. Then let's take another question about Rob. Colleen wants to know if Rob picked up on Bob and Danielle being particularly tight, could the plan have been to break up that alliance and tilt the balance of power in favor of himself and Carolyn? Does he see Carolyn as a person that would be more loyal to him than Danielle?
I think so. I think that's part of it. I think it's all part of it. And I think now that he's made this decision, they're going to be a little afraid of him. It's risky because Carolyn and Danielle could say, Rob's kind of a dangerous person to have in this trio now. So it's a risk, but I do think he was seeing Danielle and Bob the Dragon lead the charge. And I don't think he liked that.
Yeah. What do you think, Pooya?
Yeah, I felt like, in that moment where Danielle leaves the room and it's just him and Carolyn, and he tells Carolyn, listen, the votes are there. We are still riding with Bob the Drag Queen going out here. I think that was his way of saying, and I promise you, we are together. We are good. But the problem is what we've seen from Carolyn in confessional is that she does not feel like she can trust Rob now.
No.
And I think Rob had the correct read of, it's so clearly those two together and Carolyn on a bit of an island because no one's listening to her. I can scoop her up. I think what he didn't factor in was that your traitors just saw you do this to a fellow traitor. Why wouldn't they think you're gonna do it to them next? Which is gonna have their guard up, and I think essentially push the two together. Carolyn's been on an island. Danielle now finds herself on an island. Let's not be Lonely Island. Let's become a bunch of islands together now. Let's get united.
Yeah, that could be Rob's biggest mistake here, is just sort of sleeping on Carolyn and what she's capable of.
I agree.
Yeah. Bayleigh, what's been your opinion on Carolyn so far?
Carolyn is very chaotic. Like, I find her so unhinged, but I love it. And then only in the confessionals, though, really. In the confessional, she's being really honest and transparent with us. But in general, no one's suspecting of her. She's kind of dumbing herself down a bit, I feel. And she's playing this character where she doesn't really know what's going on. And so she's going under the radar. She's being pretty quiet. And even though she's not really agreeing with a lot of the decisions the traitors are making, she's not putting up too much of a fight because she's not trying to get herself in trouble. So I think she's playing a really good traitor game, but I love how unhinged she is in the confessionals.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about her in the confessionals. Pooya, back for the confessional, the reality TV newsletter, which you wrote a great piece this week about the correct way to play the traitors. You could read that at realitytvnewsletters.com. I wrote an article way back when in the spring. I think it might have been the first article that I wrote, which was about the Mount Rushmore of Survivor confessionalists. The four people that I put on the Mount Rushmore of confessionalists, and first name on the list was Boston Rob. Second was another traitor, Suri. Third, then Courtney Yates, and fourth, Carolyn. Yeah. 2 out of the 4 of the Mount Rushmore confessionals.
As traitors. It's good. Go find Rob. That was good.
Turret. Yeah. No, I think that both of them are really great at telling their story, but in very different ways. But it's similar that they both have this kind of like, and I think that's why they're such great characters and such great TV personalities, is that both of them have a relationship with the audience of like, I'm going to tell you at home what I'm not telling everybody else. And not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
It's a skill. It really is.
It's a great skill. Okay, but all right. As far as Rob being in trouble, Runner I brings in a question. Do you think that Wes's suspicion of Rob being a traitor will gain any traction in the house, or are people too swooned by Rob's move to question him?
I think they're too swooned.
Too swooned.
I think if Rob gets wind of that, Wes could be the next to go.
Sure. But I mean, Wes is no slouch also, Pooya, like that. I think that he could definitely sway some people, even though the problem for Wes is that these people don't seem to know who Wes is.
Yeah, exactly. Which is good for him. He is such a strategic player. I've seen every challenge season. Yeah. He's so strategic. That is his, that is what he's good at. Which is why this game is so good for him. He's also good at competitions and stuff too, so he has that. But yeah, I think he can be a very trustworthy player, especially if you don't know his history, because if you did, you might not be so trusting of him. But yeah, the fact that people don't really know who he is could work well for him.
Yeah, it was funny in that very moment we watched Wes essentially play tug of war with Tom Sandoval's mind when Tom was like, I'm just gonna listen to everything Boston Rob says. That man knows what he's talking about. And then Wes brings the counterpoint of, well, he probably is a traitor because how else would he 100% know? You could see him start to sway him over. I think that the battle of numbers is going to be the tried and true decision here, because on one hand, Rob does have Dylan now. With Dylan's trust comes a lot of other people, but also Dylan's looking at Gabby sideways, so you could worry about that. But then also, Wes was the one throwing Nikki's name out very heavily. So now, will the Bambis just be like, nah, this guy's suspect. Why is he throwing your name out? Because remember, one of the reasons Tony was looked at by the Bambis was you threw out Chrishell's name, and that made no sense. So why are you doing that? So I think there's a world where, the picking up the numbers is going to be key. But then the other factor is, what's Wes's motivation? Is he trying to keep Boston Rob here for a little longer? Or, assuming he's not going to get murdered because he's one of the three? Or is he going to try and pivot and push immediately? And the key numbers are up for grabs. It's just a matter of who gets to them first and who do the numbers want to work with.
Yeah. And Boston Rob, depending on the conversations he has with Wes next, if Wes feels like they're on a team together, this could just be debunked right away. He might change course, if he feels like he could trust Boston Rob.
What if Wes doesn't feel like Boston Rob is on his team? How is Wes going to engage with these other players in the house, especially these players who are a little bit more floaters in the Traitors game?
I think he's going to do exactly what Pooya just said, is kind of lay it out first for the more impressionable people like Tom Sandoval, very easily manipulated, gullible. He's very smart. He makes sense when he speaks. He's going to make it logical. He's going to explain his reasons. If he's going to go after Boston Rob, I think Wes is smart enough to have evidence to back up why he's going after Boston Rob. I think everyone in their mind is probably afraid of Boston Rob, but they just need an army behind them to go after him. And I don't think they have that yet.
Yeah. And also, how much is Wes going to publicly pound those drums? Because he just watched Bob the Drag Queen get pushed out by Rob. Does he really want to go after someone with that much ammunition? Now, Wes is a charismatic guy that might think he's just the guy for the job and do that anyway. But also, maybe he just gave the nudge over to Tom Sandoval, and we'll see where the information flies first. I think it's just setting it all up for a very fun follow-up to what was already a very good episode. So I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued.
Yes.
I got a question about Jeremy. This is a question from Adam Miller, who says, do you think this Hail Mary for Jeremy would have worked? He tells everyone in the coffin, if I die tonight, Danielle is a traitor. Now, Jeremy said that he was thinking about saying, is that right?
I believe that's where I got it from.
Yes,
if I remember correctly. He told us that, yeah.
So, since he ended up in the coffin, it would have shown him that his words would reach Danielle, okay? This would have made her look like a traitor, would stop the other traitors from siding with her to kill Jeremy, since it might reveal their numbers, and it would provide evidence to Dylan and Danielle in the cellar for that next morning. Bayleigh, would this have worked?
I don't know if it would have worked. It's definitely what I would have done. If you're already literally 1 foot in the grave, you might as well go down swinging. And if you have a suspicion on someone, it's kind of how I felt playing the Traitors with you guys is, if I die, I know it's Claire. You guys got to know that it's her. I think it could. I don't know if it would have worked. It's definitely something that I would have done. Him saying, I'll work with you guys if you keep me, I feel like that was the nail in the coffin. My God, my puns. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that was the wrong thing to say.
I think that I've thought about his scenario of saying, if I die, it's Danielle, which is very interesting because he's right. In the event that he's wrong, the traitors are like, perfect. We kill him and we pin it on the person who he named, who's not a traitor. They go out. But then, and I think the only thing it will do guaranteed is put Danielle in a very tough spot, because Danielle's like, okay, no, we're just getting rid of him anyway. And then there's still going to be people, and I hate to keep bringing this up because I'm telling you she's entertaining. I've just met her. But Robin is going to wake up the next morning and be like, Danielle did it. Jeremy told us Danielle was going to do it, so Danielle did it. Even though it would be bonkers for the traitors to now for Danielle as a traitor to do that. So it would be fighting an allegation that kind of is silly, but it would just put her in a very tough spot, I think. So it would have been entertaining from that front for sure.
So one of the things that I still can't wrap my head around is the players got into the casket, and then we saw like a lot of like deliberation about who to kill. And then I'm like, okay, well, they're obviously not in the casket because they would have heard their voices. But then there was a lot of talk about that. Oh, I heard footsteps. I heard Pooya. What were the traitors in the like? Were the traitors talking about this stuff right outside the casket, and then they heard them?
Well, I think there's a world where the deliberation part happened before the caskets were full, maybe, or something along those lines. You know what I mean? Where when they did walk down to do the hammering, that the caskets were full, but they had to, especially we had just seen Bob the Drag Queen be very loud in the cellar. There's no way they were going to risk that go out there.
Yeah.
So either the caskets were empty when they filmed this, or there was music being blared, and then it was removed for the very intense walk down to nail the coffin.
Billy, it just seems so weird that there was like, they were talking about like, oh, we heard footsteps, but they didn't hear that loud talking.
I just don't think, I mean, not to call it production, but I just don't think they're keeping them in those coffins for that long, because they have to like get everyone inside, then get the traitors to come talk. That takes a long time.
Could you do that?
No. No, my biggest fear is being in like a tight, dark space. There's no way I could. No. I mean, maybe in a very controlled environment. I know that I'm not like underground, but no, I would have to, I think that they had a break. And I think during that break, deliberations happened.
Here's the thing. I think I'd get in the comment like, easy. Like it's a controlled environment. It's cool. And then I'd be like, I'm in a coffin.
Yeah.
This is what they lower people into. I'd get in my own head and I would spook out and I would hate it, Rob. Are you setting us up? Would you do it? Could you
I'd get in the coffin.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I would do it. There's money on the line, but I would not like it. Would not like it. And that's why I'd be like, it's Danielle. If I die, like I'd be so desperate. I'd be screaming anything.
Yeah. I mean, that's like wooden, like rickety coffin. It looks like if you really needed to like kick your way out of that thing. I think that like rather that than like one of these like real fancy coffins.
They should have done the real thing. Put it underground, make them sweat a little.
I think they did it in the first season, right?
They had a mission where they had a couple of people that had to be in the coffins and they had to get dug out.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those in other shows. Yeah, like the last person that stays gets to stay in the mansion. That would have been cool.
Okay. All right. Jen Gonzalez has a question about Carolyn. Carolyn seems to be very well positioned in the game right now. What does she need to do to maintain that position going forward to potentially be the last traitor standing? I've been seeing a lot of people say Carolyn's going to win. She's got this thing locked up. I think that we were saying the same thing about Phaedra once upon a time. That do you feel like that Carolyn has a great shot to pull this thing off?
Yes, because I think that everything we've seen from Carolyn and the whole culture of the castle is, who would Alan pick to be his rep? Someone who's up to the task, and they completely discounted Carolyn as someone who does not fit that bill at all. The other thing that I think greatly helps Carolyn is that when the inevitable Boston Rob ouster happens and he has to get up there and say he's a traitor, they're like, all right, the survivor representative gone. It could not be Carolyn. None of the survivors thought it was Carolyn. We don't think it's Carolyn. I think Carolyn just keeps playing the way she's playing, and I think she's on the way to being the only OG traitor left in that turret. I really do.
Yeah,
I agree.
She's got a really good thing going right now. I just feel like that as the numbers dwindle, though, I am waiting to see how Carolyn is able to pivot if anybody ever starts to mention her.
Yeah, I think she's been hiding behind a lot of people, big, loud people. And if Rob continues to take those people out, she's not really going to have anywhere to hide for much longer. She hasn't really been questioned at a round table, so we haven't really had to see her defend herself. So I don't know how she would do with that. She's just doing a really good job right now of kind of coasting, letting people think that, oh, wow, that's a really good theory. I believe you. Like, just kind of being a sheep amongst a bunch of wolves. But if the wolves keep getting taken out, then she's going to have to show her game.
I think Yeah, that is a great point. The how will she deal with being accused is one. And then the other thing is, even if Carolyn's playing the best game for her, the ideal game, if she finds herself at a final five with like three people who are solidly together and have been like an alliance, that's bad. No matter how innocent she looks, there's a world where they just get her out before they look at each other. So something like that could be a problem. But as far as navigating the turret, I think she's doing a stand-up job right now.
All right. Let me have a question that is specifically for Bayleigh.
Ooh.
Bayleigh, what is your ideal boot list for the season if you were the traitor?
Like, who would I want to get out?
Yes.
Oh, like how many people?
I don't know.
Like all from the start?
Yeah, we've lost
give us the first
four,
couple.
right? Give us like 4 or 5, yeah.
Okay,
Who's
here's
dead
the thing.
first?
Here's the thing. I mean, as you probably know, I'm a very emotional player. And I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm a mix between like Gabby and Britney, where I'm pretty biased. Like I would want to keep the people that I liked just because I like them. But I also am like, I am smart. So like there's people like Tom Sandoval that I just would want out because I hate him. But I would have to keep him because everyone hates him.
Do you hate
so
him because of Scandoval?
I hated, not hate. I didn't like him before that. He just kind of annoys me. Like he's just not a guy that I would jive with to begin with. And then the whole Scandoval thing, yeah, like whatever. But he's such a mess that you'd have to keep him around. So to be honest, and as much as I love the drag queen, he'd have to go pretty early for me because he's just so outspoken and opinionated and not afraid to go after anyone. And that's scary for me. I would want those people to go. So if I'm looking at the list, I would say, and I have to say they did a good job with Wells. I think Wells is really smart. I love him, but I think that he is very smart and I wouldn't want him around very long. So yeah, Bob the drag queen, Wells, Tony. I would have gotten Tony out. I don't really like, yeah, I just think these people are also, I find that like people like Tony are going to be riding with the boys. I feel like they'd come after me before I would come after them. So I would be looking for those people. Who are the people that would come after me first? And I'd have to go for them. But like, I would be siding with Gabby, Britney, probably Chriselle. I would form like the badass girl crew. And those are like my top girls right now.
What if you were a traitor on the RHAP Traitors? Who would you have killed first?
Going into it, I was like, oh, Tiffany was up there for me. I have her name circled so many times. I just was very suspicious of her as a faithful. I was suspicious of her. I just found her gameplay, like I was kind of seeing some holes. I went into it thinking I wouldn't go after any Big Brother people. But then right away, I'm like, I already regret this because I think Claire's a traitor. So I think in that game, again, I'd be going after like the really vocal people. I'd want to keep the more quiet people around. And because I'm so vocal and loud, I would automatically kind of befriend the loud, boisterous people. So I would be really chummy with them. So it'd be really weird if I did kill them. So I would kill the people that I probably am most similar to and that I would be getting along with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question from Julia who says, can we make anything out of the way how Survivor players approach the Traitors versus Big Brother players? The players from these shows are so strategic and competitive, but I wonder how the unique formats influence their Traitors gameplay. Pooya, have you seen any sort of difference between the way people play the Survivors play the Traitors or Big Brothers play the Traitors?
I think that is specifically on a franchise level, maybe not, but I think there's something to be studied, especially the deeper we get into this, specifically with Traitors US, how the Big Brother players are seemingly not able to translate that gameplay into the Traitors. We saw Cody falter, we've seen Dan falter on a Traitors tip, not specifically Faithful game. But Danielle's game is unwritten, so I'm not willing to speak on it like it's bad or gone. She's still in the game. She still has a chance. So once that's over, we can definitely talk about it. But I think that debate in the first episode of thinking 20 steps ahead versus one day at a time is very important to look at. Especially, I feel like for Carolyn, one day at a time, New era of Survivor is like a jumbled, one day this happened, this happened, this happened. Things are fast, rapid. Big Brother is a damn marathon. That is like 70 plus days with some of these Big Brothers in 100 days. This is 2 weeks. This is 2 weeks. So you can't play them the same way.
Right.
What do you think, Bayleigh?
Yeah, I agree. Like Big Brother is like a game of chess. You have to be thinking, if I do this move, what does it do? Then what's the next? Like you are thinking end game, where I do feel Survivor is very like one day at a time. It's still a lot of alliance building. It's still a lot of convincing people and really talking your way out of things or into things. So I think they're similar players in that way, where Big Brother and Survivor people are very good at talking, very good at kind of navigating who's with who. But in terms of thinking about long term, I think in Traitors you do have to think that way. In what order do people need to be banished and do people need to be murdered? So on the faithful side, who needs to be banished, and on the traitor side, it matters. It matters when it happens.
Okay. We got this question from a couple of folks. Danielle Mathis asked, "Where is Britney?" People want to know. What the hell?
Yeah, we got one confessional from her this last episode, and it was easily the best confessional of the episode, the funniest confessional of the episode. I mean, we know the greatness that is Britney. We really do. I think the issue is when you are a faithful on Traitors, automatically your content level's lower. And then when you're a faithful, not under scrutiny or suspicion, your content's lower. When you're a faithful, not in a rivalry or in a beef, your content's lower. So right now she's ticking all the I don't have any reason to be on the screen at the moment boxes, which is what we don't want. I still think they're finding ways to put her in there, but I want her, like Bayleigh, I want her to be safe. I want her to go far. But if I want her on my screen, like Britney, beef somebody. Like, isn't Tom Sandoval annoying? Tell him to his face.
I think her time is coming. I think she was probably banking on being a traitor, to be honest. But I think her time is coming, and I think that she's just trying to play, as we've seen her on Big Brother, she'll be confrontational. She's very funny. But she also knows like that her days could be numbered on Traitors. She doesn't want to do too much, I think. But I think her time is coming. We need on an entertainment level, we need more of Britney. And I do think she's very smart. I just don't think she knows what to do right now. I think she's like a fish out of water. I don't think she really knows how to play as a faithful.
Yeah. And I wonder if Danielle and Derek are kind of freezing her out. Like, is she even in with the Big Brother people?
Well, again, I think she's very intimidated by those two players specifically. She had some beef with Danielle, and she mentioned earlier that Derek is a cop and a detective, and she doesn't really want to ruffle
who's she
his
hanging
feathers.
out with?
I think the gals. I don't know.
You would think so, but they don't talk about her as one of the Bambis.
No.
I think it's good that no one's talking about Britney right now. I think that means that she's going to last a little bit longer. Not being talked about on the Traitors is a good thing.
Yeah, and I think if we're looking at the Big Brother people specifically to compare to, Danielle being a traitor obviously on its own, but then with Derek comes in as one of the three cage boys.
Right.
I would argue that Britney can spin confessionals around and around on Derek, way better on confessionals, but he's one of those three, and he's sussing Boston Rob a little bit, which I think helps his like content. Whereas Britney is currently, I think, playing a very good faithful game, low key. Like, obviously not having a group is one thing, but staying safe, not being looked at, no scrutiny is also not a bad shout to get further along. The only worry is if Britney finds herself in a spot where she's so cleared because no one's talking about it that they try to murder her. But then I would argue, as long as Danielle's in that turret, she is not taking out Britney.
Right.
She's just not going to do it.
Okay.
Yep.
Pooya, I've got a metagame question from Andy, not baby Andy.
Okay.
This doesn't have much to do with the last episode, Andy writes, but in general, it seems to me that the easiest way to game the system is by paying attention to the last couple of people to come to breakfast. They have to be faithful because they were on the short list to be murdered, yet nobody ever seems to take advantage of this. Why is that? Or do we just not see those particular conversations?
I mean, I think part of it is there's a world where we don't see those conversations. They never come up. I think or they never get shown, and they do come up. I feel like Traitors Canada this last season did really well, Rob, with kind of showing us more things that you think are more metagamey. But I think that, let me present it as if I'm going on season 4.
Okay.
If I'm going on season 4, will I be thinking about that stuff? Yes. Would I then also think about, okay, maybe they've smartened up and switched it up. Maybe it means nothing. Also, yes. I think the other thing that's heavily understated is that they've gone through this experiment now for like 4 or 5 days. They're so focused on not seeming suspect and not piping up over like useless information, making sure, like, I would be terrified to be like, okay, so that means these two are clear. If they have sus on them, why am I doing this? Because now people are going to be like, well, why is Pooya clearing these two that we think are bad? Is he bad too? And then you're just in a heap of trouble. But I think more likely than anything, some people are thinking and talking about it. We're just not seeing it, is my assumption.
Yeah. I think it's something that people should be keeping an eye on, and certainly in terms of moving forward. But yeah, I don't know if they'll mix it up.
They should. I feel like the shortlist thing, like we know the shortlist. Did we
mix it up when our RHAP Traitors?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was kind of thinking like every time I came to breakfast, I'm like, oh, like who's first in the room?
Mm-hmm.
I actually like felt like whoever's last, like, oh my God, they almost died. Like I'm not thinking of them as I'm always looking at, I was like, oh yeah, Tiffany's always here first, chilling.
Yeah. I feel like it's almost like for our appeal, because we get a short list, right? So we're like, oh my God, which one did they murder? We know this one of these 3, obviously, but I almost don't care about that. I know that they want it for the TV moment of like, they don't want us to know which one got murdered of the 3, but it doesn't matter. Blend them in there a little bit. I feel like it's not always like this. I feel like other franchises will mix and mash it up a little bit, where you'll get someone who was on the short list in earlier, but almost always the final 2 are like the 2 people that nearly went out. So
I was thinking that this episode, like everyone that came in, you're not that excited because you know that they're alive. Like they weren't on the short list. So everyone's like, oh, I love your outfit. Like that, you have to get excited about what they're wearing. It would be cool to mix in people in each group. So every single group that comes in is exciting.
Yeah. Have we nailed down who do we think the next murderer is going to be? Yes. Do you feel like you know, Bayleigh?
No, I'm just really hoping it's not Gabby.
Yeah,
I don't think it will be.
I don't think it will be either.
Yeah.
It might be Bob. Wow. Biggest loser.
Back-to-back Bobs go out?
I think so. Like, I just feel like he's really like, people are really starting to like him as a human being. You know, like Pooya said, he got really vulnerable on the hill, and people are consoling him and feeling bad for him, where that's easily turned around and like, wait a minute, maybe this is his tactic. Maybe he wants us to feel sorry for him and we're humanizing him when really he's a traitor. Like that would be a way to target him. Yeah. And it's already been talked about. So he could be the next one.
Pooya, could you give us the list? Do you still have it of the players that don't have the shields?
Oh, the players who don't have the shields? Yes, sir, I do.
Oh.
So of the people that are unsafe, we have, which actually, Bob Harper is safe, unfortunately.
I know, I'm sorry. I was thinking banishment. I'm thinking the next person to be banished, I think, will be him. My bad.
No, that makes a lot of sense because he is on Dylan's shortlist too.
Yes.
So the unsafe ones are Sierra, Carolyn, the traitor, Nikki, Ivar, Robin, Sam, Gabby, and Derek.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah. Which we talked about this a little bit. And while, I love making predictions on our pod, and I get them wrong a lot. You should listen to Traitors Canada. A lot of mistakes, but it's part of the fun. It's unpredictable, baby. We love it. Rob, I still kind of feel like this is there was an earthquake in the turret and one person is gone now. I think they're going to get back on the same page and do a boring move, an unpredictable move. Why would they get rid of Sam Asghari? Why would they do that? That makes no sense.
What
to
about
me.
Ivar?
Maybe.
Also a good move. They might avoid it because he's had some suspicions on him. They might avoid it because they're like, no, we need as many people that people would look at before us in front of us. So
like Nikki's definitely sticking around.
Sierra, Nikki not going anywhere.
Right.
Robin is just loud and wrong, which is good for them. I don't think they should let her go. Gabby is part of the Bambis. Maybe now that Rob has been told Dylan's looking at Gabby, he would like to keep Gabby.
Yeah. So maybe Sam. Like, why wouldn't they? Like, Sam's random as hell. I haven't seen it. I don't even know what he's doing in there.
He's wearing headbands, hanging out. He's not a lot else going on.
Do you care about Sam at all, Bayleigh? Did you know about him?
No. I think well, even as like a celebrity, like he doesn't really have a personality, so I don't really know what to go off of. Like, we've not seen. All we know is that
Who would you rather hang out with for a night? Sam Asghari or Scandival?
Scandival.
Okay.
I'd have an exciting night. That's for
Get
sure.
more stories out of that for sure.
Oh my God. Yes. I'd actually love that.
I mean,
even
some
if
of those
I hate
Britney
him.
stories might be good.
I know, but there's got to be
though.
something off with him. Like, there's got to be something weird. So I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know if I'd want to be like alone with him. I don't know.
I feel like we know everything about Scandival. I feel like there's a lot that we don't know about the Britney Spears situation.
But Rob,
I don't
the
know if
problem
I
is
want to know.
that all hinges on, is he gonna open that up? Or if you get to dinner and he's like, all right, so just heads up, we're not talking Britney tonight. What do you do then? You're stuck for this dinner.
Right?
You give this guy a couple of drinks. He's talking Britney.
Yeah. You don't have to give Sandoval anything. He's going to talk about anyone.
He's going to talk. He's going to talk about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you one more question. Okay. This is from Alec Hester, who says, this isn't a question, actually, but my wife suggested that someone should write a sketch for a round table with just Boston Rob and all of the Muppets, and now I can't stop thinking about it. Alan Cummings still hosts. How did we get to Boston Rob and just Muppets?
I think Boston Rob would hate that.
Who would Boston Rob's Muppet allies be?
So, well, I think that Boston Rob is coming for Kermit because Kermit is the leader of the Muppets. Hey, there's somebody here that I think we know is quarterback in this
Pretty
thing.
Good.
And that
Throw a
person
backwards hat on. Oh my God.
is Kermit. Oh, hey, Rob, I don't know where you're getting that from. That's, I don't appreciate that. But I think it's one of the Cage guys.
I've got 9 words.
Yeah, I've got.
Oh my God, you guys are good.
Yeah, I'm coming in. They came in like some sort of caged animal. Animal.
Keep going, Rob.
Yeah, waka,
yeah, keep going. Don't stop.
Yeah. Yeah. But then, if Boston Rob tries to put Kermit the Frog up on the block, how do you think Miss Piggy's going to react to that?
She'd be very upset.
Why you, Boston Rob?
You have all of them. I have Kermit. I have one impression, and it's Kermit. You have like all of the cast. What is going on?
I'm not even attempting. I'm not even attempting.
So, yeah, that could be exciting.
That'd be fun. I'm looking for.
Somewhere
I think we're getting to that world.
Happening. Yeah.
I think we're going to get into the Traitors Roundtable parody world. I think that's coming in some capacity somewhere. We're getting those.
Okay. Bayleigh, do we think Boston Rob survives this next episode? This is going to be if he can get through this, maybe he can get his feet under him and cruise for a little bit. But
I think he's going to survive the next episode for sure. I don't know if Rob could pull off the whole win of the whole game, but he's definitely surviving the next episode. No.
Okay.
Yeah. People need something to believe in, and right now they believe in that move.
People need something to believe in. That's right. Yeah. Pooya, what do you think? Is Rob getting through this next banishment?
I think so. I think even though I think that he's no longer winning the game, and it was always going to be a hard road anyway, I think that he's bought enough goodwill right away. While Wes has made a great point, I think convincing everybody of this mentality is going to take a second. Because right now, no matter how Wes puts it, but Rob got us a traitor out. Rob pushed out a traitor. I think he has goodwill for at least one more round table, if not more.
Yeah.
I agree.
Bayleigh, you're right. People need something to believe in. Let's get rid of some dead weight here. Can we go a week without losing a heavy hitter?
If we lose Sam and Ivar next episode, I'm telling you, the boot list is going to have a good return.
Yeah. So I think that would be a great way to bounce back after losing some of our real standouts that we were looking forward to in this cast. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Bayleigh, what else is going on for you? I got a question from Spencer Armsworthy. If anything, how did growing up in Herring Cove set Bayleigh up for success on Big Brother?
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Herring Cove. Okay, so you guys probably don't know. It's a very like smaller town in Halifax, Nova Scotia. How did it set me up to win? I think that I'm pretty like social and personable. Like growing up in the East Coast in general, people out there are just a little bit more down to earth. So I think that helped me create relationships pretty soon on. Like it was really easy for me to make friends and kind of like solidify friendships, and people really like trusted me. I'm a very loyal person. I think growing up in the family that I did and my environment made me very loyal to the soil. And in a game like Big Brother, you want someone like that in your corner. So I think that alone, considering that I was on the outs of every alliance happening, I think my loyalty was the reason that people couldn't let me go. So
I'm looking online, Bayleigh. It looks beautiful. The beach, the boardwalk.
It's stunning, honestly. In the summer only. Not so much right now. It really is. And it's such like a, if you're need a place to have dinner, someone will bring you in and just feed you. You might even stay a week. Like everyone there is just so sweet. It's the best place to grow up. I love that question.
Okay. Oh, good job. All right. It's Bayleigh. What else is going on for you?
Well, life was very, very fast after Big Brother. It feels like it just happened. But then I'm thinking like this time last year, I was getting ready to kind of go on the show. I've been enjoying the last few months of just it being very slowed down. It's winter, but it's been amazing. Big Brother really did change my life, and hopefully there's some exciting things coming in the near future. But you'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Can we go full frame just to see the dog?
Oh, this is Gigi.
Gigi.
Yeah. This is very exciting. This has actually taken over my life in the past 2 weeks. We rescued her, and she's just the sweetest little addition to the family.
Did you rescue her, or did she rescue you?
She rescued me, Rob.
Yeah.
She rescued me. No, truly, she's the best thing. That has been our lives. I haven't seen the light of day since we got her, so that's what's new with me.
It's winter in Herring Cove. What do you need to see?
No, I'm not there anymore.
Okay, sorry.
My bad. I'm in lovely Toronto where it's -20.
Okay. All right.
Beautiful.
Well, Bayleigh, buckle up, because you're not going to believe how much the man to my left has going on in his world right now, because it's Pooya season, everybody.
Thank you, Rob. Listen, it's been a busy week, but it's been a blessed week. I really am happy with everything that we're putting out there. So as y'all know, first and foremost, follow me on all socials, Pooyaism. But as far as podcasts go right now, myself and Annabelle have been talking Traitors UK Season 3. We just wrapped up week 3. We recorded that. That should be in your feeds hopefully by tonight. If you're watching this on Monday, if you're watching Tuesday, it's already there. You're looking good, living good. So there's that. But I also did a little bit of extra Traitors work this week, as Rob alluded to. Kevin Jacobs reached out to me and said, would you write for the confessional? Would you write a little article?
Yes.
And I was like, yes. So I, for the first time since university, put typing into use outside of just tweets and blue sky posts, and actually wrote something, and I feel decent about it. So let me know if I'm wrong. That's cool. The topic is there a correct way to play the Traitors? See what I thought about that. But then myself and Liana, we've got the Pooya and Liana Lounge open once again. Weekly, me and Liana get together and talk in person about whatever we want. This week, I found this out the hard way, Rob, based on the many comments our lovely listeners have sent our way. A lot of people write their grocery lists based on the order in which they're going to tackle the aisles in the grocery store.
Oh, yeah. I do that.
Yeah. I don't. I freeball it. I just walk in and just hang out for like 30 minutes.
That's what I say to my wife. I'm like, you gave me the list. It wasn't in the order. I had to go get this over there. And then the next thing was back at the other. She's like, I'm not going to put it in order for you.
Nicole gets me. Nicole gets me. But so I was telling Liana on the podcast that that's weird behavior, and then everyone was like, "No, I do that." I was like, "Oh no, I'm the weird behavior. I'm the weirdo." So I learned that the hard way, but it's been so much fun. So you can check that out. And if you were still like, all right, but I don't know who you are, Pooya. Like, you talk all this stuff. Who are you? I got into a 2-hour conversation with Matt Scott over on Pod Friends, where it was a complete interview of me just giving you my insights and my journey of how I started from a hopeful applying to be on the podcast as a Big Brother correspondent to now being where I am and all the things that happened in between. So it was very fun. You can check that out over on Pod Friends.
Okay. All right.
Amazing.
If you got Traitors feedback questions, send them in next week. robbinswebsite.com/Traitors feedback. And then we'll get back together for Traitors episode 5 on Thursday night. Make sure you don't miss any of it. Go to weknowtraitors.com to subscribe. We'd love to get your feedback here in the YouTube comments. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.